The Fall Line is a deep dive true crime podcast focused on cold cases that could be resolved if the public knew about them. You'll hear about missing people whose families have been searching for decades, John and Jane Doe cases from across the country in desperate need of public attention, unsolved serial homicides like the Atlanta Lovers Lane murders that never made the national news. The Fall Line digs deep, interviewing the families, law enforcement, and experts closest to the crimes to bring you cases you've never heard of and explore what can be done today to solve them. Find The Fall Line wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back to Hot Takes and Deep Dives, and I am here with the legendary pop rock trio. We have, can you believe this is your third appearance?
I know, it's weird.
Do you remember that this is how we met?
I actually do. Through Caroline.
Carolyn.
Same thing.
So we have Elizabeth Ziff, we have your sister Amy Ziff, and we have Alyson Palmer.
Yes.
And together,
we're Betty.
Together you are Betty.
We're the legendary Betty, as you said.
The iconic Betty.
Now, this
Vintage
is
Betty.
Vintage.
This is a very exciting day because your new album just dropped moments ago. The new album is called Eat. It is streaming everywhere: Spotify, Apple, Amazon. This is a big day. How are you all feeling?
I feel really
Right now.
positive and great. A little stressed out.
I'm really, really excited. I think it's a fantastic album, and I love the way it looks, so I can't wait for people to have it in their hands.
You did all the artwork.
I did the art direction.
Well, I guess we should actually say up top, I think we need to really define what it means and has meant for you all to be an indie band. For not only are you an indie band, you've lasted for nearly 40 years, like 38 years. So can you kind of explain the difference between your career trajectory and, say, these pop girlies that are out now, like a Chappell Roan or somebody like Lady Gaga, somebody who's going through the studio system, the label system?
Difference is either you have a team that's working for you or you are your team
We
with your
exist.
pals. And so the three of us are a team with our dear friends who help out now and again. And it would be great if we had a label behind us because the music business has changed so deeply. But, you know, we've done it our own way.
I think a lot of people are independent now, but when you talk about independent, a lot of people don't understand that it means different things. Some people are indie, quote unquote, bands. Those people still have labels, they have teams, they have press. You know, we're really an independent band, which means we don't have labels, management, any of that stuff.
Well, I love how you say you're a mom and Les.
Don't get us wrong. There'd be nothing wrong with having a team behind us or in front of
We've
us.
had them on and off over the
Yeah,
years.
we have, but we exist from the kindness of strangers now.
We're all very kind of headstrong, and we believe there's a way that it should be done. And the three of us, more or less in our Venn diagram, think that we have the same basic idea. And we've talked to labels, we've been pitched many times, but they've told us to change in certain ways that just weren't interesting to us. So we just sort of go on, you know, comfort over cash.
And also at the very beginning, when we were just starting in the 80s, it was not a great time for women in music. It really wasn't. And if you wanted to do or make it, quote unquote, in the larger form, you had to make a lot of sacrifices that weren't inherent in who we are as Betty and who we are as people and feminists and things like that. And it was difficult. Also, we were told at the very beginning if we were to do benefits and things for AIDS during the AIDS epidemic, that we would be completely eradicated from the mainstream. And we didn't listen. We, of course, because we played for friends in hospitals. We played for AIDS benefits. We played for gay pride. And at the time, if you played for pride events, it was very few and far between people that would play for pride events.
This was 86, right?
This was actually even before 1986.
It's before, yeah.
Because we were doing another band before Betty, and it was really funny because the very first time we ever did a gay pride, it was like whispered about, and it was behind the bushes, and you had to sort of know where to go.
No
to
pictures?
Be there.
No pictures could be
No
taken?
pictures. If you took a camera out, they were like, "Stop! Put it away!" Because people were absolutely
People
terrified.
would lose their jobs, they'd lose their families.
for their lives.
But now, for the record, I mean, after all these years, this is Amy speaking. I don't care. I'll do anything for money. I mean, really and truly, if somebody wants to change us, go ahead. They can.
Oh my God, you're the most headstrong, most immovable person in the band.
When I hear somebody say they
I
do
mean, what are
anything,
you talking about? Seriously.
I'm not immovable.
I mean, listen, when I hear somebody say they do anything for money, I'm thinking, okay, are you going to join OnlyFans?
Yeah, of course I would. If somebody gave me the opportunity to, of course
I don't even
would.
know what OnlyFans is.
It's the porn side, Elizabeth.
If
You don't know what OnlyFans is?
Why would I?
You don't?
I would be the one
I
that...
actually don't. I'm not a big porn person
No,
unless it's like
but there are lots of
70s
different-
gay male porn.
Wait a minute. There's
still,
lots of other kinds of things. There are some people on there that just try on different glasses. I mean, there are different... People have fetishes for lots of different things. I would be that person. I would just try on different kinds of sunglasses.
Or shoes. People
shoes.
love if you
Yeah.
try
It's a
different
fetish
shoes.
thing?
It's just a thing where you have very, very specific tastes that you cater to. And I'm surprised just as an internet person you haven't heard of OnlyFans.
There's a 750-pound woman on there that just eats, and people pay a
We
lot
should
of
send
money.
her Big Size Love.
Okay.
It's not,
Wait, isn't it? Oh, wait, isn't
honestly,
it?
that's a song on our new album called Big Size Love. and I think she'd like it.
We're gonna. I want to jump. Actually, I do want to mention this really quickly because yes, it's true. You do have a song on the new album called "Big Size Love," which I love. But isn't it so interesting? What? Okay, should we give you a moment?
No.
Okay. So Elizabeth has been on the show a few times in the past, and so we've covered the Betty origin story in DC. I want to talk about when you first landed in New York. I know that you were living on 2nd Avenue. It was 2nd Avenue and where?
Fourth Street.
In the theater
In
district.
a
down
duplex together, all three of us, except for I had a room that was a third the size of them. It was called the Veal Room. And I don't know how I got it, but I got it.
Because
Both of
you
them
did-
had their own bathrooms, giant rooms with windows.
sweet.
And I had no window in the back, in the corner, tiny, tiny, tiny little room. The Veal Room.
How much were you paying in rent
there. $1,800.
total?
$1,800 total. 3-bedroom duplex, outdoor patio, $1,800.
How many bathrooms?
2.
Two.
And
One
washer
for Amy,
dryer.
one for Alyson.
And washer dryer.
Wait, hold on. Who
You
shared
had
the
a washer dryer?
And we had a washer dryer.
Who shared
Yep.
the bathroom?
No one. I had to scrape around for when they weren't in the bathroom. This is Elizabeth. And go into the bathrooms when they weren't there.
In 1988, we moved up because of Encyclopedia. We did this show for HBO called Encyclopedia, and it was such a great success, and they paid us such a beautiful amount of money. And we realized in DC that we can only go so far. We had to choose either between LA, New York, or London, if that's how we wanted to keep our career going. And because our families were close by, we were like, let's go to New York. We moved up to New York in 1988. And when we did, we moved in together in this apartment that our friend Monica actually found. And we lived there in more or less harmony for 2 years, which was really great, until 1990, when all of a sudden my boyfriend came down from Boston and moved in with me. And I think that was probably a bridge too far for everybody.
It was.
Everybody like,
100%. They would sit on the couch every night and order Chinese food. And when I came
Love
down the
Chinese food.
stairs,
You're filled with rage.
I was filled with rage, but I couldn't say anything. And I love both of them dearly.
Yeah, it's
but it was
different.
never discussed whether he was going to move in or not.
Well, he was only actually there while he was looking for an apartment, but he was there for a month, and that was a bridge too far.
Is this Tony?
Tony? Yeah.
Okay, so
it was only a month.
It was only a month.
You know what? When we
I'm
first
getting out of
moved, when
here.
we first landed in New York, Jess, I remember walking by a couple of restaurants and seeing friends, just friends eating and talking, engaged and everything. And I thought, oh God, I really hope that happens to me and to us, because we didn't know anybody in New York really. So anyway, I was walking down the street with Elizabeth, and I thought, all right, I'm going to give it a go. I know I'm going to make a lot of friends here. It's going to be fantastic. And somebody in a car screeched past me, and I felt something on my chest.
They shot a
They
paint
shot
gun at
me,
her.
but I didn't know that it was
Wait,
paint.
it was a paint gun?
Yes, and
but
they thought she.
I thought
we
this-
thought she was shot.
I thought I was
'Cause
shot.
It was red paint,
And I fell
she
to the ground.
falls to the ground.
And I thought I had to go.
I thought, okay, that's it. Amy's dead.
And then she reached. Elizabeth reaches down and she's calling 911, and she's like, "Oh my God, it's paint! Get up!" Meanwhile, you're knocked to the ground if you get shot with a paint gun.
What color was the paint?
Red.
I thought, okay, well, it's just going to be a duo now.
What year did you move to New York?
1988.
So you're living in the East Village. I follow this blog. There's Jeremiah's New York, like it's like Vanishing New York.
Yeah, Lost New York.
Jeremiah
I've
the
seen it
Bullfrog?
before. No. I've seen it before. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever go to Fez?
We played there.
You did?
Oh yeah, we had a whole series
Oh my
there.
God, we lived at Fest.
Wait, you had a residency at
Yeah,
Fez?
we played all the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
we had
that's
the residency. We
amazing.
also played
Danceteria.
holiday shows there. We played Maggie was a guest one time.
We played
Danceteria.
Danceteria.
We played Quick.
The Pyramid Club. We played all of
Mars.
those places.
We played the Pyramid.
Didn't you say that Ryan Landry got you your first gig at the Pyramid Club? What was that
no,
connection?
no,
It
the
wasn't
first one.
the first gig. We played there for him a couple times, but the first gig was
Dodie Bowers.
Yeah.
Dodie Bowers from the 930 Club in D.C. She's the one that hooked it up for us in the first place with Howie Montauk, bless his heart.
yeah. R.I.P.
Do you remember him?
Well, I've heard of him. Yeah, yeah. And so, how are you getting people in the room, or were you just happened to be like the house band that was there that
Not
night?
the house
Just
band.
part of-
Flyers,
part of
telling
all-
people, talking to people. Also, we used to take out ads in the Village Voice. We did it for almost every show at the bottom line.
But we would have flyers, and we would flyer wherever we went. I think Michael Musto said something about us, like, "Oh no."
What did he say?
He said he took the word Betty and he's like, broads eager to torture you, because we were known as like flyer people, because that's the only way you could get people to your shows is to let them know
That
about
was
it.
hurtful.
And
That's
guess what we
amazing.
have right now? A stack of flyers.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that hasn't changed.
Yeah, I mean, it was different then because there wasn't social media. And I don't know, does social media actually bring people to shows?
Of course it does.
I think ticket sales are very hard across the board. Like, I have a friend, my audience knows my friend Ben Rimmelauer. He runs programming at the Green Room 42.
That we're playing for the holidays.
You guys are doing a holiday show there. And so I know from him that in general, everybody is struggling to sell tickets because it could be the economy. It's a mix of a lot of different things.
It's also after the pandemic. People just
God.
didn't,
Pandemic,
they got
pe-
out of it, you know?
You know what? Taylor Swift called me, and she said she was having a hard time.
Yeah, selling tickets.
I think it depends. Going back to the places that you used to go out in the East Village, there was a place. What is the name of the? I saw this on the Vanishing New York site because I love going back even to his posts from like the 2010s. There was a place. It eventually turned into Lucky Chang's, but originated as like a
Yes.
It was
Cave
a
Canem.
bath.
Cave Canem. I
It was
know
a
that
bathhouse
one.
for Leslie's.
That's where I met Sandra Bernhardt, as a matter of fact, downstairs, because there was
In the baths.
Yeah, in the baths downstairs.
That's right.
And
I
also,
met a couple
Amy had
people.
her
Birthday party.
there that we had to literally carry her out of. But it was a really fun, very decadent,
Dark.
very, very like crazy place. It was a bathhouse for women.
It was a pickup place.
It was really fun.
Was it like always for women or just like one night women would go
I have a
there?
feeling it was
was
just
always for women,
No, I
wasn't
don't
it?
think so. How could that
Women
possibly
don't do that.
Exactly. I think it was
they
just one
did.
night.
They did. We did.
We did, my friend. Yes, we did.
Even I did it. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean even? You were the biggest whore of all of us.
Sandra Bernhard was at the
First time I
baths.
ever met her. Yeah, first time I ever met her was down.
I don't remember that.
downstairs.
Did you talk?
No, she wasn't very friendly. Maybe I wasn't her type. I don't know. But I wasn't there to pick up anybody. I was just there to like.
Well, you're the
check
token
out.
straight one in the band.
Token, I guess, yeah. And I was just like checking
She's
it
the
out because it
ally.
was fun. And I was like, "Hi, how are you?" And I guess it just wasn't the place for my brand
Also,
of
you
friendliness.
never know. You never
I
know.
think-
People could have been really drunk. Like most of the time, you're asking about. I was pretty drunk in the East Village. So
True that.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
were,
yeah.
Those were definitely our party years.
I think it's remarkable how. Well, let me ask you this: how did you meet Tony? You've been with Tony as long as you've been with Betty, right?
Longer.
Oh, you met Tony before.
Yeah, she tried to set him up with me.
Yeah, I met him and I was like, "Oh my God, this guy
you met
is
him at
so
Samba.
great. He's so funny.
to me, she
He's
said.
so smart. He's so wonderful, and we're really getting along. Let me get him hooked up with one of my friends because I love this guy, and he's got to be in our friend group." So I was like, "Amy, I've got the perfect
Yeah,
guy
I was
for
going.
you."
I had a boyfriend at the time.
You weren't
I
attracted
don't
to
think
him?
you did. I think I wouldn't have set you up if you had a
I
boyfriend
don't think
already.
it crossed her mind.
I think I was stopping.
Well, wait, you weren't attracted to him. You just
I thought he was
enjoyed him.
lovely, but to me, if you're going to be with a guy, he's supposed to be really dark and treat you badly, and that's all I knew. So I mean, like this guy was like sunny and like writing songs for me and all this other stuff, which was very sweet. But I literally could not imagine that would be a relationship because all I knew was to be tortured and crying in the corner. So I was like, "Oh, Amy, this guy's perfect for you."
I know, she went on this whole thing, and she was kind of bright and giddy when she was describing him. I said, "Well, it sounds like you kind of like him." She said, "No, he's not my type, but you guys should go out." I said, "Well, okay, well, I don't think so."
So he was like like, let's go see this band, the Bobs, because I love a cappella harmonies
The
and
Bobs,
stuff.
I remember
So
that.
he was like, they're playing in Baltimore. Let's go see the band, the Bobs. I was like, right on, let's go. So we went up there. You're like, really, truly, really good friends. We went up there and saw them. It was fantastic. And from DC, that's like a 45-minute drive. So that's like a commitment if you're going to be like hanging out with someone for that long. But I just assumed it was going to be fine. And at the end of that night, all of a sudden, we realized there was something more for our relationship. And the way I met him in the first place was, I cannot believe it, but he was a fan. He came up to me after a show, and I never, ever...
He went to a Betty show?
before Betty.
Before Betty. It was the
Ambiance Zebra,
we were in this
right?
art band called Ambiance Zebra. He came over to me when I was very drunk after a show, very, very drunk, holding a picture that someone had taken. I'd done a modeling thing, and he had given me this picture during the show. So I was carrying this picture out from backstage, and this guy comes over to me and he was like, I'm a picture framer. I can frame that for you. And it was so bizarre, but exactly what I needed. And so we started talking, and that was Tony. And that was his pickup line. Now it's been 39 years of Tony and me. Have I ever gotten that picture framed? No. Still crumpled in a corner.
It's 39 years.
39 years, child.
That was at Saba Club.
Here-
I remember.
At Club Saba
I
in
remember
DC,
you meeting
yeah.
him. Yeah,
Wow.
Tony's a really good guy.
He's a
good
great
guy. He's like a
guy.
brother.
So two of you are parents.
Mm-hmm.
I know your kids now. Ruby is about to turn 21, and Lake is a senior in high school.
Correct.
And Amy,
Amy, the depressive one.
I'm not depressed.
how old are your kids?
5 and 18 months. It's insane.
Let the audience just take that in.
Yeah, take it in. Because I'm almost 100 years old, and then that's it.
You wound up marrying or you wound up in a relationship with a woman who is like just a year older than me. We're like 20 years apart. How soon into the relationship did the idea of kids? I mean, she must have said pretty early on.
And I honestly thought she forgot. I really did. I honestly thought that she would forget all about the fact that she said, I might want to have children, And I thought, oh, yeah, okay. Why should that
You
even
wanted kids
be?
when you were younger. but
When
you
I,
didn't-
of
yeah.
course, when I was younger, I wanted kids.
Not of course, I didn't.
I didn't either.
I never wanted kids.
I wanted kids.
I never
still
wanted
don't want
kids
them.
either. I want to pivot back to Ruby. In some circles, the band is best known for doing the theme song to the L Word. Like,
Also, we
True.
were on it a couple times, yeah.
and you were on it a couple times. Elizabeth, you were a writer
And a producer.
producer.
and a producer.
And the
You had
composer.
you had a big job there.
Yeah.
And we talked all about that in your first appearance. So if people are interested to really hear everything Elizabeth contributed, just search for that episode. But I'm curious, now that Ruby is older, since you guys were collectively as a band very associated with the show, has she yet watched it? Like, what is her
Oh,
opinion?
child, you have to know this. Ruby is going to a school where there is a giant swath of L Word fans. And I was stunned to find that out. She's in college, and she was like, Mom, because she's very, very chill, my daughter. She keeps her cards close to her chest, and she was like, Mom, yeah, I've got a lot of friends that know you. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, yeah, they all watch the L Word. I was like, what? Because, I mean, it was a long time ago, so I
They
don't
all
No,
know.
but
wear,
kids
they all wear
discover
Betty
it.
Rules t-shirts. I really want to play at that college, actually.
Me too. I mean,
That's
it's so
amazing.
It's amazing
I
that
bet
they're
it's not
actual
unique.
fans.
I
Wait,
bet- I bet that
what
college
college
is
does she go to?
I'm not going to say that on anything.
Okay, fine.
But it's a girls' school.
Kidnap. She's in
Oh, it's
Argentina.
an all-girls
It's an all-girls school, and I think a lot of times when there are, people who are drawn to all-girls schools, they might like the L Word, and so it was just really
Yeah.
exciting to find out that there's this whole generation, I guess that's Generation Z, that just loves the L Word and is just discovering the very first one still right now.
When did she first discover it?
I don't really know.
I think she could have cared less until her friends started
I
talking
think it was.
about it.
I think it was. I mean, she probably heard about it, but it wasn't only in college that she actually started really getting into it because her friends did.
Watching it.
Yes, because her mom was doing it. You don't want
Also,
to do the
she was
stuff your
in it
mom
as a
does.
baby.
Yes, but you don't want to do the stuff that your mom does. That's not, cool.
There is a scene where an infant Ruby
Yep,
is
that's
being
Ruby.
carried by you.
Yep. The very first time we
That's
ever,
hilarious.
when we
Wearing the
wa-
same outfit that Allison's wearing,
Yeah,
only
the-
for a little
the-
infant.
The costume
Oh my
designer
God,
made the
that's funny.
exact same outfit. It's adorable. But it's when we first walked into the Planet Kids
Yeah.
Club that I'm carrying her, and I love it. I love showing her the little tiny clip. It's fun.
When Alicia Haley says, Betty rules, as we walk in the door.
I just shook the phone tree, and Betty fell out.
Yeah, they were trying to get Pink or something.
Yeah.
And
We should have an
the
L Word
OG
party.
L
That would
Word
be
is
fun.
fun, but
Yes, it was really
I worked
fun.
on it and stuff. I haven't watched it since it came out.
Me neither.
I haven't
We should have a
watched it.
party and do
yeah.
that.
And we were friends. We became friends. We all became friends with Eileen Chaikin, so that was fun. And some of the people on the show too.
Rachel, she was just at our last gig
Yeah,
in
Rachel
England.
Shelley. We're all
Rachel.
still really
Yes.
good friends. And when we go to London,
Pam is fabulous.
Oh yeah, you guys did a song with Pam Grier. When you guys performed on the show, were you actually performing it live, or you're like lip syncing?
No, you lip sync.
to a track.
you can't
Yeah.
perform live. It's very, very
Yeah.
difficult to make that happen.
What do you remember from filming? Like the three of you filming that?
I remember recording the song, the theme song, because we recorded it in Vancouver because it was really fun and it was in a really great studio with an incredible engineer. We were well taken care of. It was really fun. Eileen came and it was a good experience. It was a good studio experience.
I will tell you one thing that I do remember. Elizabeth was on stage, and she was one of the people in the show was directed to come over and like they basically made out on stage while we were performing, and that was the girl who plays Shane.
Kate
you know what I mean?
Manning.
And it was really, so that was like the whole audience was sort of like excited by this moment of these two really electric girls getting together and kissing on stage. So I remember that part.
I think in the storyline she was trying to make someone jealous.
I remember that part.
Here's my question about the song.
The L Word theme song?
Yeah, about the L Word theme song. Has anybody ever wanted to cover, like, say, for example, like a Chappell Roan, like a huge current day star, if they wanted to cover it, would that be a big payday for you or no?
No.
Because Showtime owns it.
Yeah, we wrote it, but they
They own it. They own the publishing.
Would you have to give permission?
Nope.
No, Showtime
They
would.
own it.
We
That's how
wrote it
television
and we
works.
performed it, but that doesn't mean anything if you don't own the publishing.
That was one thing that our lawyer couldn't do. She got us.
Nancy Rose can usually do anything, but they
Anything.
were they were
Very.
adamant about it. It was a great payday for us, and it's paid off, and it was really fun to do. I think that
Sabrina Carpenter just sang it though. She just sang the L Word. Remember, you were telling us about that. She sang the L Word on stage, and she had some of the L Word people come up.
No, that
on-
wasn't
wasn't Sabrina Carpenter. That was the really pretty woman with the
That was the girl from
Nice
the
rack.
Mean Girls.
blonde
movie.
hair. But I think she sang a little bit of it on stage. Yeah,
Anyway, if you just go on YouTube, you see 900 billion people have covered that song.
yeah, but it's fun. It's fun to do, and it's hard to do. Actually,
Wait a
it's a
second,
hard
she's
song
on-
to cover.
It was Renee Rapp.
Yeah.
Renee Rapp,
Yeah.
yes,
Renee Rapp,
Renee
yeah.
Rapp just sang
At
it on
Coachella.
stage, which
Yeah,
is
she
really
sang it on
cool.
stage.
You know what I mean? You write something, and it's really cool that other people get up there and like sing your words out, and people in the audience I hear were all singing along, and that's very, very cool.
Did you write the song together?
Yeah. We wrote it in a very short amount of time because there were 4 people. I remember I talked about that on your thing. There were 4 bands that were asked
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
to do a theme song because for the second year Eileen wanted a theme song. And there were 4 bands that were asked to do it, and then they chose ours. So that was really cool. But it was a very fast turnaround. It was sort of like what we're doing for the new group. We were asked to write a song for a new group off-Broadway show, Babe, that's going to open, I think, at the end of October. But it's a very fast turnaround for us.
Marissa
because
Tomei is in it.
And Gracie McGraw.
Gracie McGraw is going to sing the song.
She's huge. She's going to be huge.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
cool.
she's great, really nice, and everybody involved. Scott Elliott, who's directing it. So that it's fun to have a fast turnaround and have to produce something right away that is going to have a long life.
We had the
hopefully.
same thing happen with Encyclopedia. We were given a list
Yeah.
of songs and then
A list of words that we had to define for the songs.
a list of words. That was one of my
And
favorite
very,
projects
For HBO.
ever.
Very fast.
So fun. Oh my God, I could do that every day of my life.
It was so fun because they also we had to do a word for every single letter of the alphabet. And so they just took the alphabet, divided it in thirds and said, okay, you do this one, you do that one, you do that one. So we were never like in competition with each other. We all were just contributing to the whole of this encyclopedia of these 26 songs and
then we filmed them
theme.
afterward. But we had to record them in, I think, in 3 days or something insane. 25
Really
songs
fun.
in 3
It was
days.
so
Like that,
fun.
though. I
It was
think we
really, really
chose
great.
We stayed at the Mayflower Hotel, which is infamous.
One of those old hotels of New York.
We met
Where,
everybody. We met Sinead O'Connor when she was at her height. And It
Yes.
was just really fun.
Just
and
the
really
elevator
debauched.
and the bar there was
Yeah.
just so great.
Liza
And that's
Minnelli,
what's wonderful
hello,
about New York.
downstairs at the bar.
We
Speaking-
performed at Carnegie Hall together.
Okay, so this goes right into what I wanted to. I want to talk about 2 things. So a lot of people know you from the L Word, but a lot of my friends know you for the tribute, the concert for Sondheim.
Oh, yes.
where the 3 of you sang
I never do anything twice.
I never do anything twice. That concert had Patti LuPone,
everybody.
and
Liza
Liza,
Mandy Patinkin.
Glenn Close. There were Bernadette Peters. Because you were like fairly new-ish to New York at that point.
It was 1990, I believe. It was really, really
How
early.
did you get that gig?
My prom date, who is also one of my best friends now, Scott Ellis, was directing it. And he said, I have this crazy idea, Amy. Do you think Betty would want to cover a Sondheim song? And at first he was a little bit reticent because we were very different from all the people that were on stage.
We played at Carnegie Hall with a drum machine and the three of us singing. We didn't use the orchestra.
And
we used the piano player to get the note.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
asked him, this is the song is like 9.5 minutes long. We were like, can we just cut part of it and just do part of it? He was like, nope, do the whole thing. And then we did it for Stephen Sondheim, and he was like, that's fabulous, girls, but I would need something else at the end. And so we had to put something else on the end. And we didn't know. We didn't actually understand how big a thing it was until we actually were there.
So I watched, last night, I rewatched that clip, and it's one of the most impressive performances I've seen of the three of you.
I agree.
Period.
I agree.
Thank you.
When I
So
watch
much work.
that, I get so filled with anxiety. It was at Carnegie Hall. We had so many lyrics and so many things to remember. So tight harmonies.
Repetitious. Oh, baby, someone's bound to be scarred. Oh, baby, yes, we know that it's hard. Still, no matter the price, I never do anything twice. Twice, oh,
And then there was the Abbott.
Oh, you were using a drum machine.
We used a drum machine that
drum
Alyson
machine.
programmed.
A drum machine, a cappella. I mean, really and truly, we practiced that. How long did we
I have
practice
zero recollection
And it
of
was
any
the
of it.
longest, most intense song with verse after verse after verse. But we got it. We got all the words.
That would be insane if you. So you guys have an upcoming show Sunday, September 22nd at the Cutting Room
Yes.
for this album release, big album release party. It would be insane. You wouldn't do it for that, but if you did
We
it,
might do it for the holiday show.
really.
Yeah, why not?
That
honestly-
would be. People would freak.
Well, we're going to be at Green Room 42.
Yeah.
If we were going to do it anywhere, we would do it there. But let's see. It's a lot of work to pull that together.
Or we might just play the video.
Oh my God! Just the video. So did you?
That's Cynthia Rowley, by the way, those costumes, who Allison discovered
I'm good at discovering designers.
for
Yeah.
us.
What's the other one?
Daryl Kay. was
Daryl
another
Kay,
one.
Cynthia Rowley.
When they're
yeah.
first getting started, and she
Feathers
made
and
those, she
stuff.
made those outfits for us.
Did you hear the reaction to the Carnegie Hall when we got on stage?
Yeah.
Yeah, people were. They were gobsmacked, really, because we were just so different from everybody else. And
My dad was in the audience for that show.
Yeah, I remember.
And so was Gloria Steinem. It was pretty amazing. I remember Liza Minnelli putting out a cigarette right before she went on stage. And who was the little girl?
Daisy Egan.
Daisy Egan.
We followed her.
Was that the first time you met Liza?
No. We knew her from the Tonics, actually. We knew her from
Jean Reed, I guess.
Jean Reed. And yeah, somehow we got in the same circles a little bit. I think from Kathy Najimy too, maybe.
Possibly so.
Yeah.
It was just,
but she's
wow.
wonderful. That's when she lived in New York.
Yeah.
I really would like to relive that night.
I felt the same way when we did
never-
did Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. When we did our Off-Broadway show, we sang, they have everybody, all the different casts get
Yes.
up there and sing a song that you've sort of tweaked for the show. I mean, because at that point I understood Broadway. When we did the Sondheim show, I didn't really understand. But by the time we did the show,
magnitude, yeah.
I understood the magnitude. I knew who was in the audience, you know what I mean? And these incredible people who brought me so much joy, and I really wanted to do well. It was
The fear I had for the Carnegie Hall show, and I think it didn't show because I remember feeling so nervous. But then when I watched it, it didn't look like we were nervous at all.
No.
But then I had that kind of fear for Madison Square Garden when we were performing for V-Day, and we were singing a cappella
sang
again.
Broken.
And starting in 3 different places
Like
and
in a
joining
boxing ring.
together. And I looked to Allison right before we were getting on, and I said, I'm blind and I can't do this.
and I was like, yes, you can.
She said,
I said, we've rehearsed this. You know this. Just get up
What
and
have,
do it.
what have been?
It was terrifying.
it was terrifying.
I mean, Oprah was there, and
Jane Fonda.
all these people that were doing the vagina monologues, and then she was doing some music in between, and we were one of them. It was pretty great. It was Claire Danes was there, and it was just like a who's who of feminists, really.
You played at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in the late 80s before you even arrived in New York. How are you invited to perform at Edinburgh Fringe?
We played in London.
All started from Washington, D.C., because back when Marion Barry was the mayor, our friend Amy had the idea. She was like, let's go to London and do a show. I'm going to go propose that to the mayor's office. And we were like, okay, she did. And so that's how we got to London in the first place, as ambassadors from D.C.
We were playing at like their Lincoln Center. We were playing at the South Bank Center for a month. It was a big deal.
Yeah. And then other people saw us from there. That's how it works in this business.
When you did the Fringe Festival, so I have friends who are comedians, and they're actually, my friend Kat Cohen actually just finished up her run. She just got back to New York.
It's so fun.
And I don't know if it was like this back then, where you literally do the same show 27 days in a row, or like you do it for the
we were
that.
doing a concert, so it was different.
But it was at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, yes, but the concert was scheduled for midnight. But by the time all the other acts that day had gotten on, it was so late that it was always 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And we were, by that point, trying to stay awake and warm. We would have a little scotch beforehand. So it was just these crazy shows.
And nobody came.
But when they did come, they were drunk as...
Every night in a row for a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we did that in Australia too. I mean,
That's what
when
we
you
do.
do a run, you do a run. We did that in
San Francisco.
South Bank
And
Center.
of course you
we
did
it in
Betty
San
Rules. I don't know why I'm
Francisco.
acting like this is so...
I mean, we did it for years in Betty Rules.
Well, okay, we got to go deep about Betty Rules, because we didn't talk about it enough on our first one. Betty Rules is actually how I first discovered you.
Really?
Because I was a huge Rent head. I've seen Rent like more than I've seen anything.
Wow.
And so I've seen everything Michael Greif ever did. Next to Normal I saw a bunch. I was a huge fan and still follow his work. So Michael Greif wound up directing an off-Broadway show for you, which is how you have the moniker Betty Rules.
Right.
So I want to know, how did you connect with Michael Greif, and also where did the moniker Betty Rules?
Well, that happened way before. Betty Rules was like the first T-shirt we ever made when we first started in New York.
That one you're wearing right now.
Yeah, I'm wearing it now. I mean, that way before Betty Rules, the play, the musical.
But who came up with Betty Rules?
I think a fan.
At first we said
Remember,
Betty
this is the
Rocks,
80s.
and then we're like, Betty Rules.
And this was the 80s. Everything ruled.
Yeah.
It was just like
Yeah.
everything, it was just everything ruled. So it was like we had a shirt that said Betty. We're like, oh, Betty Rules.
And
That's
that
stamped it on.
really-
Same shirt. But we met Michael. We did there was a downtown
benefit.
variety show benefit at PS 122. And Michael was in the audience, and he saw us, and we performed a couple of songs, and he came up afterward.
But we got out there, we did our little a cappella set, and all three of us were hammered when we did it. We were relaxed.
I don't remember
We
ever
were
being
relaxed. We
hammered.
had such a great time.
Mr. Mima
It was
Man?
crazy. It
That's
was
LA.
absolutely crazy. And then Michael came up to us afterwards, laughing hysterically. And that's how I first met Michael Greif. And I will never forget that. He was laughing hysterically. He was like, who are you? Because it was these three wild women just up there doing what we do, but just completely relaxed. And we could have cared less.
And he sort of became a brother. We've
Yeah,
been
we
in
became
and
such
out of
fast
each other's
friends.
lives forever. And then he asked us to write the music and perform it on stage for
Cloud 9, which he was directing at the Berkshire Theater Festival. And we said, I don't know if we're really interested in doing that, but can we do our own show too?
So I said to Michael when I saw him on the street, because he was doing Rent on the 4th Street, right around the corner from our house, I was like, Michael, we've come up with a great idea for a show. Why don't you direct it? I told him the whole thing. He was like, let's have a meeting. So we were really excited about it. We sat down in the meeting. He was like, we're not going to do that. But what we want to do is we want to do about a show about the three of you being together for 18 years. And we were like, who
Really? But Alyson,
would want to see that?
This was how I first discovered you.
You saw Betty Rules?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was always coming into the city to see. Well, I was in college by that point.
Okay.
I was living just a few blocks from
The
there.
Zipper was cool. It was a fun show.
So
good.
at the Zipper Theater, I was always at the Nederlander Theater. I would second act Rent.
Wow.
Yeah,
there were
I
a lot.
was
There were a
crazy.
lot of you guys.
How many times did you come to see Betty Rules?
Once.
the ones. I mean, I loved it.
That's all right. But how many times did you see Rent?
At least 13 or 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
The only show I've seen 21 times was on my 21st birthday. I saw Rocky Horror for the 21st time.
I love Rocky Horror.
Oh, please. There was a moment.
Yeah.
That was a moment.
Something that I tell friends who literally may only know you from the L Word theme song is how that song is so not representative of the rest of your catalog, and the breadth of genre that your songs cover. Songs like Naughty Nadia.
Naughty, naughty Nadia makes promises she can't keep. She's out dancing with the boogeyman while you are fast asleep. Sending you away where the bad girls go to eat your curds and whey.
And A Fix of You off Bright and Dark.
And in my darkest sadness, I ache for just a fix of you. And in my deepest madness, I don't know.
People always try to read into lyrics, and people assume what a song is about. And oftentimes it's about something totally unrelated. And I know just from knowing you that oftentimes people will think some of your songs are love songs, and they're actually not. And I'm sure this goes for songwriters across the board. Like they can be about other types of friendships or relationships,
Politics or whatever. Yeah.
just other people in your life.
Right.
Is it just like amusing to you, or does it frustrate you that people may misconstrue?
I think when you write a song, you put it into the world. The sign of a good song is that very many different people can relate to it in very many different ways. So if they're going through a heartache or heartbreak, they relate on that level. If they've just fallen in love, they relate on that level. A specific song doesn't need to be specific to affect people.
I love when artists do that. I love, one of my favorite artists, songwriters, is Tracy Bonham. And you can't tell what the hell is going on with their songs ever. You can just put whatever you want to them. And I absolutely adore that.
I love Tracy Bonham.
Oh, isn't she wonderful?
Yeah. The song, who wrote Jungle Jane?
I did.
I love that song, and it's
Me too.
so unique. What the hell is that about?
Dodge the zombie, dig the quicksand.
Dig it.
Duck the burning village eyes. Stains are no shadows till you rip that cocoon open wide. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Jane, it's a jungle. It's a jungle.
Is about walking down the streets in the boiling heat of Washington, D.C., and the amount of street harassment you get from guys. It was, at the time, hopefully it's different now, at the time was absolutely mind-blowing. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand that a woman couldn't just walk around and she was free game for any guy to say any disgusting thing he wanted to. And I remember at the time right before I wrote the song, I went to my mom and I was like, Mom, how can you stand it when guys say stuff to you on the street? She was like, oh, it's much worse when they stop. And I was like, now there's a generational divide for you right there, because I literally could not understand how anyone could live it. And so that's when you look at the words, you can think about whatever you want to. But for me, it was all about like, Jane, come be safe with me over here, because those streets are a freaking jungle.
Wow.
We're doing that at our show on the 22nd.
Oh, amazing.
I know.
That is one of my favorite Betty songs.
I love it.
It's a great
so
song.
fun to sing. Did you have a different interpretation of it?
You know,
I've never known what it's about.
you know what? Because I don't have the CDs, I don't know the lyrics. So I'm just hearing the music. Like just whatever you're picking up live from either listening to it or seeing it live in concert. So I never read through the lyrics.
That was it was also in our Off-Broadway show, Betty Rules.
Yes.
And when we did it in Chicago, Alyson got pneumonia. She was really sick.
So sick.
I mean, really, really
Never
sick.
been as sick in my life.
And she basically propped her up on stage, and she said, "You have to sing Jungle Jane."
And
I was
you,
like, yeah.
yes, and
So-
at that point, we'd probably done the song for 8 years, so a good long time.
And I was like, "Of course, I got you, girl. I got you." And then the song started. I had no fucking idea what the words were, and it was so low. I was like, "You
And then she started saying some crazy
she
thing.
shoves
so
me out of the
I
way
literally shoved
and
her.
starts singing. I mean,
You get used to your own part. And so you think you know the song because you know your own part so well. But yeah, the perspective of something else
Amy
makes it
got
harder.
really, really sick on the road. This is the only time this ever happened. She had to go home from Frankfurt, and we had a show in Munich.
So luckily, we had an understudy in my daughter, Ruby. So Ruby hopped up on stage and did the Amy part. And at the end of the show, it was at a
Can she
Leslie
sing?
Club. She could sing well enough to do this. I mean, she was very nervous about it because she's not a singer at all. So she was very nervous about it. But she had a line just as long as we did afterwards of people that wanted to come over and say hello.
Longer, actually.
Yeah, probably a little
But also,
longer.
it was crazy because it was at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
It was in Munich. And
But it was really fun.
She didn't want to do it. She didn't hop up on stage. We actually made her do it.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, I have video
Wow.
of it. She was 14.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I would need to see that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite songs of yours, I don't even know quite what album it's on. This is a song that no one would ever be able to figure out what it's about. One of Us.
It's sort of a hidden track, not really, but it's on Carnival.
A
It's
very
sort of an
dramatic
EP.
concept idea
Yeah.
of going to the carnival.
For that song in particular, it was sort of written about myself after I got my first tattoo. And it was the chorus of, freaks and stuff singing, oh, she's one of us now. She got her tattoo. But I don't think you get that in the song.
Of course not. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. No one would ever be
But it
able
could be for anything.
Watching for you to fall from grace, sitting idly by in shadows, holding out for your mistake. Oh, we've been patient, so understanding, and just a matter of time. Through the daylight comes the darkness, and you'll venture over the line. Well, now you made it. Come inside. Oh, now you're one of us. You're one of us. You're one of us. Oh, now you're one of us. You're one of us. You're one of us. One.
Each of us contributed a very short song for this section that was basically telling about our own deep inner truth or our own inner freak. And so hers was One of Us, mine was Monster in the Box, and it was just this really cool idea. We'd never done that before, really as vulnerable as and internal as we could possibly be on an album, and Carnival has that.
Yeah.
I just love the meaning. When you learn the meaning, what it's really about, it actually really elevates.
Does
that
it?
song. I think it's a very catchy melodic song, but then when you learn what it's actually about, which I don't even know how I found that out, something, or maybe you told, I don't even know, but I feel like it shows the songwriting capability. It just shows like your mind, like the way your mind works. And there's something about that song that has always like kind of stayed with me.
And are you familiar with the film Freaks? Because there's a film called Freaks, and the very end of it, the person who has been sort of negative this whole time, the villain, all the freaks come and attack them, and they're saying, "We accept you, one of us, one of us."
Yeah.
And so that's where it all kind of came from.
We also put that in the song.
Yes.
Yeah. At the very end.
Yeah. I love it. If anybody truly doesn't know you other than the L word, get into it because it's a vibe. I want to talk about my favorite song on the new album, Eat, is called Big Size Love. And this is really Amy's centerpiece. She'll even go pick up her kids. But she had told me how it was inspired by a fan who ran up to her and referred to her as my favorite Juicy Betty. And she was saying how over the last year, she's witnessed friends on Ozempic, half the size they used to be, and they don't appear to be any happier. And just how we're all on a journey with our bodies, always in the process of changing it. And the song is about the eventual acceptance, sometimes through the validation of someone else. And so this is Big Size Love.
Hold on tightly.
Hold on tightly.
Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride.
Or find yourself somewhere else to sit. How much more me can you love when there's more of me? How much more of me can you love? Are you tired yet?
You know, most bands do break up.
So have we. We've broken up a number of times. We just
Many.
keep getting back together. We're like
Broke up
Mercury.
Yesterday.
Are you serious?
I mean, a little bit.
No, I mean like an actual official
Wait,
breakup
when did
about
you
a month ago.
Seriously?
Yeah, break up all the time. That's it. I can't take it. I'm not going to do this
Usually,
one more
Amy,
second more.
I'm never playing with you again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's you too.
Well, by the way, listeners, Amy had to go pick up her kid. So we're with it.
yeah,
Okay.
we're so you get our truth.
We're
with
free.
Alyson.
We're
and-
free.
Alyson and Elizabeth now. Probably the reason most bands break up would be either because of creative differences and money, I'm assuming.
Publishing, usually. That's what gets people. Publishing. We've had big fights about publishing. We wanted to do what the B-52s have done.
Which is what?
Some of us wanted to.
Yeah.
Which is what?
Just split every song. Split the rights for every
Split the
song.
song.
Why didn't you do that?
Because some of us didn't want to do that.
Because some of us really could not handle that at all. That's one of the things that stopped Queen from playing together for a long time, publishing. And people really just get really upset about it because when you write a song and you bring it to other people and they contribute, sometimes people just forget what they contributed or they forget that other people contributed to the song and you feel like you contributed. Ego gets involved, but money gets involved. For us, it's never been a big money thing, you know.
Nah.
It could be maybe on this album, but I don't know.
What's great about this album is for the first time we actually are all contributing to each on the publishing
Yeah.
for each song, which is great because we had to do that with the producer anyways. But I think what in our case, it's not been about money. It definitely has been about ego, but it's
credit.
about how. No, I think that anything that breaks us up is how we speak to each other, because the two of them are sisters, and I've known them for 40 years. There comes to be a level of familiarity with people that you really love and become family, where you feel it's okay to say certain things or act a certain way, and you know you shouldn't, but you do. And we've all been through this with, like, you know, lovers and
what
sisters
You
and
always hurt
brothers.
the ones you
This
love.
is what happens in relationships.
You hurt the
Exactly.
ones
with-
you love.
I've experienced this with my own mother.
There you go. And you know, and you cannot talk to people like that. If you were total strangers, you wouldn't talk to people like that. So, you know, at different points in our lives as Betty, we've been at therapists. Like, say, how do we retrain how we speak to each other? Because that's what has always broken us up. And getting past that is what has always brought us back together.
It might be time again to
What?
find a therapist.
What are you most looking forward to performing live on the 22nd, September 22nd, at the Cutting Room in New York? What song? Are there any songs that you haven't yet performed live? Probably a bunch, right?
Yeah, practically the entire album we've never done live. What I'm looking forward to is something we've never done before. We are going to be performing the entire album from start to finish, which we've never done before, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
I love that. I told Elizabeth the other day how I saw Sarah McLachlan. It's the 30th anniversary of Fumbling Towards Ecstasy, and I went to her show at Radio City, and she did what you guys are kind of doing, a bunch of songs from other albums, and then she performed that album in its entirety.
Oh, that's so awesome.
And it was great.
I'm terrified. I really am. I have to tell you that.
Why?
Because there's so much to remember, and especially vocally. Vocally, it's a very difficult album to sing and to replicate. But
What old songs are you performing?
we're doing Jungle Jane, which I
Yes.
love.
Did you tell her?
Did you
Because
tell
you
her?
love it.
It's also, you know, it's one of our big YouTube ones.
Oh yeah.
And the number one song we get most requested is the L Word, even though sometimes we roll our eyes and say, like, really? But we feel like if people are asking for it, so we'll definitely be doing the L Word.
Any other songs?
Well, so you got to keep some surprises, girl.
All right, I'm trying to get people to the show.
Oh, listen. There'll be some fun surprises, too.
All right. I think we said it all. Everyone follow you guys at Betty Rules on Instagram. You guys are on Facebook. It's Bettyverse on YouTube. People know how to use the internet. They can find you. Don't worry.
If they go to hellobetty.com, they can see where everything is.
Actually, you're
Instagram.
right. I'm wrong. That is maybe the most important thing is hellobetty.com. You can see all your upcoming dates. You're going to be playing Fire Island in
Yes.
Cherry Grove.
Yep.
Provincetown
Yep.
for Women's Week.
Yep.
I'm going to watch you bark. And
I think one of the most important things is we finally have a merchandise store online. After 40 years,
people
we've
can buy the
never-
shirt you're wearing.
They can buy all of this stuff and all this new stuff, hats and mugs and, you know, different T-shirts and hoodies. Yeah. I mean, it's exciting because we've never had that, and it's very easy to use. It's very user-friendly. Boom.
Get
you're
something
in.
for the Betty in your life.
This has been a lot of fun.
It has been fun.
Yes.
Thank you so much for this taking a deep dive with us.
Any final thoughts? Actually, I have a final thought.
Oh, good.
Alyson and Elizabeth's uncle, Lloyd Ziff.
Amy.
I was going with you. I was like, my uncle.
Oh my God. Amy and Elizabeth's uncle, Lloyd Ziff, where you first mentioned him to me when we first met. I forget how he came up in conversation.
I went to a party with him in the 80s in New York, and I met Keith Haring and Basquiat and Andy Warhol at that party.
Did you know who they were?
I knew Andy Warhol. I sort of knew Keith Haring. I knew his name, but I would never have recognized them.
Your uncle, Lloyd Ziff, he was the first art director of Rolling Stone magazine?
Yes, he was the first art director for Rolling Stone magazine. He gave Annie Leibovitz her first job, photography job. He gave Robert Mapplethorpe his first job. He photographed Mapplethorpe and Patti Smith. He also hired Sheila Metzger and all those people. He discovered a lot of artists, and he actually had he just recently passed away, and he had a beautiful eye. And from Rolling Stone, he also restarted Vanity Fair with Tina Young. And
there's a great obituary from him in the New York Times.
Yeah.
Really.
You can see his work in the
it's
obituary.
gorgeous.
It's incredible.
He was a photographer as well. I have a lot of his photographs in my apartment.
He lived out in Orient Point, and I know that was like a big gathering space for you. Like you had a lot of holidays there.
Thanksgiving, your favorite holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of just wanted to mention him just so people can maybe look him up and read the obituary. And I think it's so funny how he would bring you to gay clubs.
No, he brought Robert Mapplethorpe actually brought Lloyd to his first gay club.
I thought Lloyd also brought you to clubs.
Lloyd was the king of pastis over there in Meatpacking.
And the Odeon.
I just had
Odeon.
brunch there on Sunday.
We
Odeon.
adore pastis. Talk about escargot, please.
But Lloyd just was really was one of the greatest gays.
Vivant.
He really was. He traveled the world. He was interested in everything.
He loved music of all kinds.
He loved music. He loved
Marilyn
magazines, Marilyn Monroe, photography. He just really was. He really expanded my horizons artistically as a human, and as an artist. He did record covers for us. He did record covers for many people, and he designed our Betty 3 album. And he was a seminal part of my life. And he just recently passed away, and he's survived by his longtime lover and husband, Stephen Kellerman.
Been together
45 years.
That's insane.
Yeah. Also
45 years.
And wait, can you tell
artist.
can you tell the story of how they met on the beach?
I'm not really sure because I wasn't there, but Stephen lived out in Orient Point, and Lloyd was out there for a weekend. I think he was with Paul Roche, and they were walking along the beach at Orient Point, and Lloyd put his arm around Stephen and said, "I think we're going to be good friends."
I love that.
Yeah, and I don't think he ever left. But it's a real love story. And Stephen had been married before and had children, and then when Lloyd met him, they became his family as well. I knew Lloyd much longer than I knew either of my parents. And I didn't really meet and know Lloyd until I was 21. But he's a shared experience with Alyson and Amy, with my first girlfriend, Maria, with all of my girlfriends. We all would go out there, and he's just been a huge part of our artistic life. It's interesting to look back on that.
I love that. I envy that. It touches to hear the stories. I think that you've had a very lucky, inspired existence. And I just say this because I know Elizabeth quite well. So
yeah, what was mine? Chopped liver. I mean, I guess it was okay.
The thing that's interesting about Alyson is her dad was an ambassador.
Yes.
Her mom was a champion whistler and dancer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
her
Someday we'll
cousins
have to
and
deep dive.
aunts. Yeah. You should do a deep dive with Alyson. She's fascinating and really interesting and smart.
Thank you. But to bring it back to just Betty in general and what you just said, I think that there is a certain amount of luck that comes along with, how you're found in this planet. And they were both very lucky, Elizabeth and Amy, to have Uncle Lloyd. But people like you and like me who didn't have anybody like that, the fact that we have created that in our lives, I think is fortunate rather than lucky. Like we've made our own path so we can have that in our lives. And that's a great thing.
I remember I didn't know Lloyd until I was in my 20s, until I had already started doing music. But you guys did forge that path.
Thank you guys so much. This has been great.
It has been
Thank
really
you.
fun. Thank
Please
you.
edit a lot of this stuff out.
And please feed us now.
My telephone. Now all I wanna do is just go home. The time I wasted thinking this would be the right way, thinking you could get the best of me. How did I let it get this bad? Let it go so long. Why did we let it get this bad? Let it go so